Imagine if the Tarkov account data, imagine if that was like cash in a vault, right?
Okay.
What they were describing was Mission Impossible Ocean's 11,
Yeah, okay.
cutting a hole in the vault. There's fucking different cameras, tear gas,
Lasers,
whatever, right?
Trip mines.
But in reality, the money was on the front lawn in a big pile, and no one was watching it.
What's up, everyone? Welcome to the podcast, a show dedicated to talking about all the poggers things in life, like music, content creation, and video games. I'm one of your co-hosts, JesseKazam.
And I'm Vusitas.
Oh, what's up, man? How you doing?
Good. Dude, I have 3 hours and 40 minutes done of my
I'm so ready
Flat
for
Earth documentary, dude. It's oh my god, I love it. I can't wait till it's out. Hopefully, I'm thinking like a couple weeks max.
Okay.
I'm making progress, so I've been showing a shit ton of like little previews here and there on stream.
I'm
every
so
day
excited for this one because it's different. Like the Billy Mitchell one, we talked through a lot of that here because it was like a story. You know what I mean? And how crazy it is. And this is like your take on a concept, not necessarily, but more than like an individual person's story. So even though I've watched videos about flat earthers and stuff like that, I feel like I'm going to be stepping into the Veritas world of like with less information than the Billy Mitchell one I did. And so I'm like super excited about it.
You're hopping. I'm going to put you in my little pocket.
Yes. And take me on a journey.
And I'm going to step through the doorway into the clown fiesta.
Yes. Because I need a guide. I can't, if I just Google flat earth debate, I'll close the video in 10 seconds. I need a Sherpa. I need a tour guide into Crazy Town.
Well, and that's the interesting thing too, is that if you Google, you can't Google, you can't find.
Yeah.
YouTube literally suppresses the fuck out of the flat Earth stuff. Like I can Google the name of like the flat earther and like the video name that I'm looking for, and like it's just 100 debunking videos, which is like actually. So I talk about a little bit about like that censorship. And actually, real quick, I kind of want to get super quick. I kind of want to get your take on this, right?
Yeah. So
you know how like controversial topics, when you go to YouTube, they have like the warning kind of thing underneath. So there's that, and then there's the fact that there's some kind of suppression in the algorithm, whatever it is they're doing. I mean, people call it censorship or whatever. Like, YouTube isn't the U.S. government, so they're not like violating your rights. But whether what they're doing is good or not is absolutely up for debate and up for discussion. The only caveat that I'll say, because I watched a shit ton in the last 48 hours, a shit ton of content related to cults and deprogramming people from cults.
Interesting.
And a whole lot of shit around that. And it's one of the more fascinating elements of this whole story is that what YouTube is doing right now, I consider damage control for what they did by accident.
Oh, interesting.
Because their algorithms are the reason why there's so many flat earthers. Because what they do is they perpetuate. They put you in a black hole echo chamber, so it makes extremists out of normal people and makes them even more and more and more extreme. So absent that, it's a little closer of a debate. But once I start to think about like they kind of fucked up with their algorithms, making a bunch of crazy people from 16, 17, and 18. Which is when YouTube really started to blow up, and it's when the algorithms and the content was like this. Then I kind of feel like, well, actually, like, do they have an ethical? Yeah,
it's like, back in the day, the guy that had the crazy theories in the village, everybody was just like, bro, you're crazy. But then the new mayor comes into town and makes that guy the high school teacher. 5 years later, we go, what's going on? Let's start putting warnings in the textbook. And everyone's going, well, you're censoring my textbook? It's like, well, we shouldn't have made this guy the teacher back in the day. Now we have to kind of like make sure that people know. That's a super interesting, because so like the algorithms, information has no morality. It's not good or bad. It's not good or evil. It's not right or wrong. It is click or not. Like it's
click if you're interested.
Exactly. That is the algorithm is not a human. It doesn't, it's just click or not. And we want more clicks, and then they end up in a weird situation that they feel like they have to pull the reins back. And everyone's focusing on the reins being pulled back as like hey, there might be an interesting discussion to be had here. But that's an interesting point of also saying, well, if we're going to have that discussion, part of it needs to be how these algorithms got trained, you know what I mean, in the first place, and who was responsible for it, and does that place a bearing? Does it shift the bearing of like responsibility when we're talking about what to do about it now?
It's I kind of think about it almost like, and I just came up with this now, so maybe this analogy is going to be bad, but like, imagine you make something that like tastes so incredibly good, but increasingly becomes mega unhealthy when you eat more and more and more of it, but it's also like addictive. Like it's kind of like, is all the regulation about cigarettes, is that like free market, like they're censoring your ability to but also there's within this system, it's dangerous, untethered, right? Unhinged. So I don't know.
That is interesting.
Anyway, so there's that, but yeah. So what's been going on with you, man?
Oh, dude. Okay. So it's been the craziest freaking week of all time, dude. So we kind of got like the benefit of doing the podcast last week on Thursday, which is the day that the Unheard edition came out. All of that stuff. We were all processing it. It's funny because at the end of the podcast last week, you had mentioned, you were like, oh man, the comment section of this video is a place I'll never go. I broke and I went, and it was like, there were more than a few comments saying like, I'm actually really glad Veritas didn't know anything going in, because seeing the process from this isn't that big.
Did it go from like, it's not a big deal to then being like,
I think
off.
That actually really validated people. I think that validated people that originally were like tweeting out and being like, guys, we're making a big deal about this, and then kind of felt like they were in the wrong at the end, being like,
either figuring out arguments or like hearing other people's arguments,
words being placed to arguments. And so there was more than a few people that enjoyed that, which obviously we were worried was going to be dangerous because people were going to be like, oh, Veritas doesn't think it's a big deal. But it was like, that was a journey most of us took on Thursday. And so it was fascinating. But holy cow, did they just keep stomping on their own nuts, dude, the whole time. Oh, no. So we talked about like some of the stuff that was almost breaking at the time, which was like them quote tweeting Arena Breakout, the whole like have a nice 20-minute adventure in the blatant plagiarist game. And like what was super breaking basically as we were recording the podcast was like Landmark was on the website, looking at what, the archived, or no, it wasn't even archived, but he was on the website looking at what came with EOD. And then he refreshed it 10 minutes later and a bunch of stuff had been changed. And the two things that were changed were after Season Pass, including all DLC, it used to say, including things like Escape from Tarkov Arena. They took that off the website because that was one of the things we talked about. That's way less DLC than the PvE mode is, and yet we got it. So that was a little damning for them. So they took that off the site. And then the whole like unique secure container thing they took off the site. And so like those were a few of the things that were like breaking at the time. We talked about it a little bit and it got weird. People used the Wayback Machine and found it. Okay. The next day, And this is what I was expecting. I went to bed that night and I was like, dude, absolute L. Just like, this is so brutal. Please, God, let me wake up tomorrow to them being like, we messed up. We're rolling it back. We got a tweet the next morning, and it was a Reddit thread. And it was, I'm pretty sure this is the first response. Yeah. Oh, well, they ended up tweeting that day also, like doubling down that PvE wasn't DLC. They said PvE mode is a unique feature which is available only for the owners of the Unheard Edition. We will keep you updated on new features exclusive to EOD owners. So later that night, they didn't do a Reddit thread. They just tweeted and doubled down. It's not DLC. It's a unique feature. Okay. So that was just like, I mean, there's not even really anything to be said there. That they just got tore up for that. In the morning, we got a tweet. We got a Reddit post from Nikita. It said, "Hello, Tarkov citizens. To honor the owners of the EOD version and their indelible importance and role in the EFD universe, we plan to add the following new unique features to the EOD edition. Faster returns on insured items, increased trader buying limits by 20%, increased base PMC karma when it's implemented, access to a unique hideout craft, increased your base charisma skill, a special quest line which will increase your pocket sizes as a reward, the ability to skip 2 daily quests per day free of charge, a unique dog tag, a unique armband, a unique set of clothing, a unique legacy device, high priority matching for EOD owners for 6 months, and access to the PvE mode for EOD owners for 6 months. Temporary access to the PvE will be provided as soon as we reinforce the server infrastructure of that particular game mode to a wider audience, because we use totally different servers for that, and now there is really a limited amount of them." So the first thing we got as a response, and what's important to like re-go over, is that when we talked about this last week, what we really ended on talking about, which was so important, was that there were many layers to why the whole thing originally was frustrating, right? There was the layer that was like, the PvE is obviously a DLC. You promised us DLC. Give us the damn DLC. There was a layer that was like, we thought that the pay to win, pay for convenience stuff, we thought that the edge of the cliff was going to be EOD, and you pushed it farther with Unheard. And then there was the layer of like, hey, it's weird to be selling more copies of the beta game that's been in beta for 7 years. And then there was the layer of like, this would all feel less bad if, the game was functional and worked better. And then there was the layer of like, why do this in the first place? We're all literally begging you to sell us gloves, cosmetics. Like, why do this in the first place? So lots of layers to it. And so the first thing we got as a response from them was essentially, we're kind of admitting you should get the PvE mode, but we're only going to give it to you for 6 months. We see that you don't like this pay to win, pay for convenience stuff. So instead of lessening the amount of pay to win or pay for convenience stuff on Unheard, we will add to EOD with more pay to win, pay for convenience stuff. And thirdly, we're just going to throw a monkey wrench in the whole thing and drop the bombshell of you get high priority matching for 6 months. Like, what does that mean? That lit a fire of like conspiracies. People being like, there's a lot of people that now were like, I knew streamer servers were real. They've been getting priority matching. They've been doing this, that, and the other. They were going to sell it. And honestly, maybe they were right, but that was such a monkey wrench. Like, I mean, if streamer servers were a thing, then I wanted out of them. If I was in them, I wanted out, because my servers never felt like good servers. Yeah, but here's what's weird is because it says high priority matching. Like somebody brought up a good point where they were like, what does that even mean? Because even if I match to a match quicker than you, the next step in that is waiting for players. So I then have to wait for players that don't have priority matching to match and deploy into a raid. I doubt that there'd be enough people in a single raid that all had high priority matching. I guess with EODs, since so many people did, it was just so confusing because it wasn't defined. And only for 6 months was so weird, implied that they were going to then eventually sell high priority matching.
Well, yeah, I mean, I would assume
like it just got weird.
And again, like maybe I should not be assuming this because what I'm going to describe makes sense and what they do never makes sense. But like I would have assumed that you get into the queue and it basically literally like a queue,
yeah,
like at the bank, right? And it's has you in a queue and it's looking for servers to put you in.
Yeah.
And, you know, maybe they only have 100 servers spun up in your area. There's raids going on all of those servers. So it's got to wait for, you know, I don't know how they do things.
This
right?
is simplifying it,
So then effectively it would be you skip to the beginning of the line. Like
and then the next available server.
It's kind of like when I went to Utah a couple weeks back, I went through the plebeian security. I had not I hadn't situated like putting my car keys and like my sunglasses in my backpack before my wife was through security.
Yeah.
Through like the quick check.
Oh yeah, the quick
the
check, whatever, the pre-clear, whatever. Yeah.
She's like, I'm through. I'm like, you mother, are you fucking kidding me? I'm like, I literally haven't even gotten through the ropes.
Yeah.
Like, what do you mean?
Yeah.
You know, like that's.
Yeah. But it was so random. It was so not a part of any of the conversations that were happening prior, right? Like there were many conversations about many things to be frustrated about. And their response to that was like, here's a new thing to be frustrated about and get weird about. And then the conspiracy theories, like a lot of people took that as like streamer loot is real, which is not what matching means, but it just added gasoline to the fire. So we're frustrated for these 5 reasons. And their response was to poke and prod or frustrate every single one of those reasons. Like if they thought that would put out the fire a little bit, they're crazy because they just added more pay to win / pay to convenience features to EOD when the response was, we don't want more for free. You know, the anger wasn't that we have to pay $100 for them. The anger was these shouldn't exist. So to just dole out some free more ones was like, what the hell? And then we get the PvE mode for 6 months was such a weird slight because it was like, oh wait, no, you're saying we should get it and you're withholding it. It was weird. So that was the first thing. Very obviously just lit the fire up even more. Next morning, another post from Nikita. Hello again. Let me clarify the situation in a little more detail regarding the owners of the EOD version and access to the co-op mode. First of all, the PvE game mode is not DLC, tripling down at this point. DLC, in our understanding, is major additions to the game, including various functionality and content that are released after the official release of the game as themed DLC packs. Scav Life, for example, which will add a lot of new mechanics to the game. Secondly, this specific functionality of the PvE mode is necessarily located entirely on a separate network infrastructure because essentially you play on our servers in only a closed mode. At this stage, it is not possible to launch to all players who are EOD holders. Right now, we simply do not have the amount of resources. We observe your dissatisfaction and have decided
holy.
Yeah.
I never knew that like an indie Russian game developer could sound so corporate America.
Just like nail on the head, just like professional gaslighting. And we have observed your dissatisfaction and decided that the functionality of the PvE mode will be available for free that all owners of the EOD version at the release of the game, when the server infrastructure will be improved to the required capacity. Now you have this opportunity to test this mode by purchasing the Unheard edition of the game or upgrading to this version. We have also decided to give a 50% discount when upgrading to Unheard. We plan to send one free Left Behind key to everybody that's already upgraded to Unheard at the original price. Moreover, so that any player of any version can have the opportunity to test the PvE mode, we want to add the ability to purchase it separately. EOD people will get a 70% discount on that. It would be interesting to hear your thoughts. Next, regarding the special items of the Unheard version, we plan to make restrictive balancing to these changes. Okay. So, that way I just wanted to read it to get through it. So, day 1, we're mad. Day 2, they're like, here's a bunch of stuff you don't want and a bunch of weird stuff that you didn't even know existed. So, we're more mad. Day 3, we get we observe your dissatisfaction. And so it's growing, right? At first, it was EOD doesn't get PvE. Then it was EOD gets PvE for 6 months. Then it was, we really, really mean it. This isn't DLC, but we're sorry you feel this way, so we'll give it to you anyway at the 1.0 launch of the game. Which was like, woof. Just like a weird, it almost intentionally like worded to prevent them from saving any face. You know what I mean? It was like, we are going to give them what they want, but we want to make sure that they can't even pretend to be happy that we're doing it. We want to make sure we know that we hate them and we're going to do it anyway.
We shot ourselves in the foot and then instantly took all the Band-Aids and set them on fire.
Yeah. It was just like that whole thing. Like, first of all, the PvE game mode is not DLC. DLC, in our understanding, is major additions to the game, including various functionality and content, but that are released after the official release of the game. Like the hair they're splitting is it's not DLC until after 1.0. But they have the freedom, so they just have the freedom to create the Schmurd edition at any time and lock anything behind it. Because their definition of DLC is just, it's not 1.0 yet, so Lamau get fucked. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, we'll never see, it'll be 2037, okay? It'll be Russia 2028, yeah. and we won't have 1.0, and they can just keep doing whatever the fuck they want to do.
Yeah, so that was such a weird hair to split. On it's what we understand DLC to be is content released after the release of the game as a themed pack. That's just super weird. You know what I mean? Because they say it's not DLC and then they describe DLC. It is major additions to the game, including various functionality. Like an entire PvE mode with all of the progression built in. You can get Kappa in PvE mode, and you can do it with your friends. And there's AI bots, like PMCs. Like, that's major addition to game, including various functionality. You know what I mean? They define
it's not game. It's different .exe.
Yeah. So that was crazy. And
even though it's 99% the same code base.
Yeah. So that was like them saying, we think you're so wrong. We think you're so wrong, but we're going to give it to you anyway. We're just going to give it to you at 1.0, but you can buy it early because they said we're going to give it to you at 1.0. But then later they say, what we are going to do is add this as a module to the site so that anybody, EOD or not, can buy it. And EOD owners get a 70% discount on it. So we are giving it to you. We're not going to give it to you to 1.0. And the reason we're not going to give it to you until 1.0 is because we don't have the server capacity to do it. But if you want to do it today, we for sure have the server capacity to do it for the people that give us money. That is literally what they said. We're going to add it to the site. Everybody of all editions can buy it, and EOD gets a 70% discount, to which you will get instant access. But we can't give it to you now because we don't have the server infrastructure to give it to you now. And then I think you ended up tweeting this later. It was like, if you didn't have the server infrastructure to get your player base to do the thing on the new thing, why did you release the thing? Weird.
Yeah. And so I don't know if I explicitly said it or not, but like my thought process was when they first released it, maybe I'm wrong, was there a giant red warning sticker saying you might not be able to play this when you buy it?
No. It was the signature. They made a video about what the Unheard Edition was, and it was one of the signature things that they did a marketing video, and it was like, play with your friends, all of the quests. Like it was a big thing. They were like, you can do this.
Yeah, so it's like I think at least with Arena, wasn't it at least, it was ambiguous, but wasn't it at least clear that like not everybody would have access day one?
Yes. Yeah. So on the front,
so this was like the Arena thing without the Arena caveat.
On the front end of the Arena stuff, they actually did a good job. On the front end of Arena was, hey, everyone with EOD is going to get it, but let us be super clear that EOD people are going to get it in waves because we don't want to overload the server. They did a great job at that up front. The drama happened after, which was that people were buying the game and getting instant access in front of people that had EOD since 2017. So
plus only streamers could play.
Yeah. So when we look at the Arena drama, that is an important distinction that before anybody could play, they actually did a fair job at communicating. We want everybody with EOD to get it, but we want to make sure the servers don't go crazy, so we're going to release it in waves. They did not mention anything about that with this. And they didn't have the server infrastructure. They didn't have the server infrastructure to maintain the people that bought the $250 version. So they're saying we don't have the server infrastructure to give it everyone for free. They're saying we don't have the server infrastructure to roll it out right now. They didn't even have the server infrastructure for the people who bought it. Willers bought $250. He like upgraded and wanted to test it out. And he was just constantly getting into like 13-minute queues, and then it would cancel the queue. And a PvE mode. Alone. He wasn't even doing it with friends. It was kicking him out after 13 minutes. He couldn't, and he finally would get in, and it was super weird. And so that's was
fucking bonkers.
Yeah, that was
dude.
Before they even rolled any of this back or said anything. It was like, what did you have the server infrastructure for? And then the question is begged, and why were you selling it if you didn't have the server infrastructure for it?
No, I literally don't care at this point that this that people with tinfoil hats on too tight will take this seriously. But I can't help but think, like, if you're playing offline with friends, you're connected to, I'm like, are they farming data? Like, why do we need to be connected to servers? Like, I don't think that's the case.
But they're mining Bitcoin on our machines.
I wouldn't be surprised. But I wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah. And
that's all I'm saying.
And once again, the communication here would have been insane. Like, if they said, now I get that they would have never said this because they were trying to make money off of everybody, including EOD owners. But if they had said from the beginning, we are launching this new PvE mode, you guys have wanted it, we're doing it. Here's how it's going to go. Unheard Edition people will get immediate or instant access because we're trying to figure out, like, we're trying to stress test the servers. All EOD members will get it for free. We're just going to roll it out in waves, and then everybody else can buy it. It would have been such a less issue because the EOD people would have been like, okay, we get it. These people are just getting it earlier, whatever, to stress us. I mean, people still would have been frustrated, but it's just crazy how many levels deep they went, which was just like the quadruple down on you don't deserve this. Even when we say we're giving it to you, we're saying you don't deserve it in the same breath. It was just wild how deep they went with it.
Yeah. And just to be clear, because it seems like for some reason, I don't know, maybe I was like super unclear. Everybody in chat is misunderstanding. Okay. So they're saying that that like doing no server PvE would be too taxing on dev time, or folks saying like peer-to-peer hosting would be complicated or whatever. What I'm talking about is today, when you go to play offline, it's on your local machine, right? If you play with your friends, then it's on a server.
Yeah.
So like, what the fuck is the problem? Like, why? Like,
yeah,
they already have it done.
Yes.
Right. So like, why? It's not complicated. They have it done. This is functionally the same thing.
Yeah.
It doesn't make any. It doesn't make any sense at all. So
I don't understand that stuff either. It is a weird, confusing mess now where like I kind of went back to the website and was like, man, the fact that they're selling co-op offline is so weird in the first place. And so now, like, if you just buy a standard edition, you can spend money on you can currently spend money on the ability to play without progression with your friends, and you'll soon be able to spend money for the ability to play offline with progression with your friends. I know offline, it's online if you're playing with your friends, but it's just weird. Just the whole thing is weird. And the point that I was trying to make was they didn't have the server infrastructure for anything at any point at all. Even the people that bought the $250 version of the game. You know what I mean? So that excuse of, well, we can't give it to you right now because we don't have the server infrastructure fell a little flat because they didn't have the server infrastructure for the 500 people that bought the unheard
The only
edition.
thing I can think of is that some high up employee at Battlestate Games, their wife is kidnapped, held at ransom, and they need the money in 48 hours.
Yeah.
That's like the only explanation that I can come up with.
And still, they would have made more money selling one hatchet, Sturman's jacket, and 2 sets of gloves than all the money they made doing the unheard edition.
Here's the thing. Take it for what it's worth. All I will say, because multiple people were saying this on Twitter, making the argument that, where was it? Basically, like, I'm not going to quote anybody, but basically saying that, like, they need the money to run the servers to do the whatever, like, yada, yada, yada. That's why they have the $250 version of blah, blah, blah. And I can say that Nikita said directly in a private group chat, it's not about money. None of this is about money. End quote. That's all I can say.
Yeah.
Take it for what it's worth.
Yeah.
Everybody's basically like, a lot of people were making the argument like they needed the money to continue development, as if that was.
I don't think so.
And the impression that I got was he was basically like, we've got money. It's not money.
And that's the thing, is like, I didn't even need, like, so many things are going to happen, right? Some people are going to hear that and say, well, of course he would say it. Nobody would ever say they need money. I didn't even need that. I genuinely believe what I'm saying, that they would have made more money than what they get with the EOD, than what they get with the Unheard by just selling Sturman's jacket and 2 sets of gloves. I genuinely...
and that's what he was responding to. He was responding to somebody else saying, bro, if you sell all these other things, you'll make so much more money. And he said, it's not about money.
No, I genuinely believe that, which makes it worse. And we'll get there. I'm trying to fly through the Reddit because there were so many, and we'll get to kind of the end. Next morning, we get another Reddit thread from Nikita. Greetings. Let me continue my feedback on the current situation. First of all, I would like to say to you that I am very, very sorry that the fans and the game community are experiencing these feelings. I'm sorry you feel that way. I am not sorry for anything we've done.
Such a fucking... Listen, honey, I'm sorry you're upset. It hurts me that you're hurt.
Yeah.
But I'm not wrong. Anything. I don't regret anything I've done.
I'm sorry that the truth hurts you. Yeah. Unfortunately, I somehow did not foresee the fact of such a reaction, and now have drawn conclusions for my future decisions. That sounds more like a threat than an apology.
Well, no, to me, that sounds more like I'm really sorry this is fucking me over.
Yeah.
It's really unfortunate that this is hurting me.
Exactly.
I've learned how not to fuck me.
Yeah. 100%. It's the gaslighty I'm sorry that you feel that way, sweetie, but it's good to know that for me. Like, what an ominous way to end that. What do you mean it's good to know? It's good to know that this makes me feel this way. You know what I mean? I have drawn conclusions. Yeah. I'm sorry you feel this way, honey, but it's good to know, and I have now drawn conclusions about my future. What? Drawn conclusions about my future decisions. Okay. I will briefly summarize the main points. About PvE access, we decided to just open it for EOD owners for free. But we will do it in waves. As I said before, we don't have the server capacity right now. We will start this process as soon as possible. We have also decided that we will add mod support for PvE mode after the release of the game.
Wait. Can we just take a step back? Remind me again, were people, how much of the people being mad at BSG was, we really want this thing and we don't have access. We won't be able to have access?
Dramatically less than the people who are mad. It was just like, you said we were getting everything and we're not getting it. Most of the streamers especially are like, I'll never play this.
And that's just so funny to me that they're like, we're sorry you're mad. We realize that it's really fucking us over, so we're going to do something about it, and we're going to give you the thing that you didn't ask for to satiate you being upset that has nothing to do with the original reason why you were upset. Yeah. Now, can we just all move on and forget that you want to cancel me?
Yes, exactly. And then the random toss out there of, we decided that we will add mod support for PvE. Like,
I can't imagine. I'd rather mod for Starfield.
Yeah, I don't know anything about mods, right? I'm dumb. This is my first PC game I've ever really played. But if it's co-op and it's PvE and it's progression, isn't the first mod just going to be increasing the player cap and allowing you to kill each other? Like, isn't the first mod going to be making it PvP? Which is fine, because that's sick. Because if we get a full basically a complete copy pasta of the video game on new server infrastructure with mod support, and people just add PvP to it, I'll never play the regular game ever again. That'll be great, dude.
I mean, like, here's the thing is that single player Tarkov, is with mods is so far ahead. I just don't. Yeah. What's the benefit?
Once again,
that you can just play with friends, I guess.
Missed opportunity to catch the biggest dub of all time. If what they're saying here is like, hey, the PvE side doesn't mean as much to us, we thought you were going to love it and you didn't, so we're going to give you mod support. And I don't want to say that is, but if that's what they're saying, where they're like, whatever, they could have.
You can already play. Oh my god.
They could have just like said, like, imagine if they had hired the devs of SPT and just like rolled them in, but they were like, this is your playground over here. You can't touch the main game, but do what you want over there. That would have been like, the community would have been the biggest W of all time.
Yeah. So apparently single player Tarkov has co-op.
Yeah.
And I mean, they should $249.
Yeah. You can do co-op. You can add other people. It's like hard to set up, and it's weird. I actually watched a video about it the other day. It won't ever reach as big of an audience with like the co-op stuff, unless they may streamline it a bit, because you have to download a bunch of stuff. But you can do co-op in SPT. Yeah. So yeah, imagine if they had been like, dude, we got the SPT guys and they're gonna like that, dude. The community would have been so hyped about that. Anyways, the next thing he said was about the Unheard edition. We will not remove it. We want to keep the option for those who want to support the game more, but we will balance items and perks in this edition, as well as we will provide more rewards for those who upgraded with the old price. Also, new EOD perks will be balanced too. We will remove the prioritized matching option to keep everyone in the same spot, and we will add more unique stuff to highlight the EOD version in general. We will provide a final list of the new EOD perks ASAP. We continue to work on patches, contents, new events, and the game release no matter what. Thank you for your time. So, we got the bomb dropped on Thursday, all the Unheard stuff. And they're like, it's not DLC. Then we got, well, I guess you guys are mad. We're going to give you a bunch more stuff you didn't ask for EOD. And then we got, okay, well, I guess we'll give you the PvE mode for 6 months. And then we got Gaslight Central. I'm sorry you feel this way. We'll give it to everybody. And then we got, we'll give it to everybody, but we have to do it in waves. We're also going to add mod support, and we're going to balance Unheard and the new EOD benefits so that they piss less people off, but they didn't explain what any of those balances are. We're going to balance them. We continue to work on the game. So, I mean, at this point, it has just been one after another of just shooting themselves in the foot, making it worse, making it clear they don't understand why people are frustrated, making it clear they don't understand why people are frustrated about the pay to win, pay to convenience stuff, making it clear they don't understand why people are frustrated about the PvE stuff, like adding more features as opposed to saying, hey, this is a DLC that you should have gotten. Oh, and I forgot to say this earlier. Their whole definition of DLC was basically hinged on it has to release after the game goes to 1.0. Once again, further bolsters our point, not theirs, because we got Arena well before Tarkov was 1.0. So that further bolsters our point, not theirs, which was crazy. So yeah, at that point, it started to get ugly and weird. No, I mean, not at that point it started to get ugly, but the community is just so fragmented because there wasn't like one specific thing to rally behind. Remember we talked about earlier, the layers of the cake, the PvE mode, the pay to convenience stuff, the pay to win stuff they added to the Unheard, the just general frustration that the game isn't, all these things. And so now they're walking them all at different lengths individually, like, oh, we'll balance this. Oh, we'll give you that. Oh, we'll give you this. So it was just like, just really weird. And some people were like, hey, we did it. Like we got the PvE mode. And then some people were like, dude, that's not, that's only a part of it. And it was just weird and whatever. And then I don't want to dwell on this too long because I in general think that leaking DMs is weird. Actually, you know what? It's weird. Somebody leaked a bunch of DMs, but the DMs were a Q&A that was going to be made public. A BSG guy posted on Reddit like, hey, yes, that was really Nikita. That was a Q&A. We were going to release this, but he said something like we were going to touch it up.
Well, yeah, I assume that was like we'll take the responses and like polish them.
Yeah. Yeah. And that was really rough. Like, I don't know if it's still up or whatever. It was a really rough read. The big thing that got memed into oblivion, rightly so, it was like, this was the interaction. It was basically, would you guys plan on, even acknowledging the mistake that was this? And it was like, what mistake? We made no mistake or something like that. And then, would you ever consider changing it or getting rid of Unheard? And they were like, no. And they're like, why don't you feel like this was a mistake? And it was, the responses was, well, you don't have to buy it. It's time to see who the true believers are. Mm-hmm. Which just, I mean, obviously,
And of course, all I've been doing is researching cults and shit lately. So it's just like, it was more ominous than you'd think. I mean, yeah, like to me, the tone of it was just, I'm fucking inconvenienced and annoyed that these people are fucking whining. I don't care what they say. I'm like, I don't understand or care about what their concerns are.
Yeah.
We're doing this our way, and
that's
fine. Like you are allowed to do that, and we're allowed to say fuck off.
Yeah. I mean, for sure. I think, yeah, exactly. It was on that thing where it's like, well, nobody has to buy it. It's like, yeah, we don't have to buy it. And you are not owed our respect for breaking our trust either. Like, we don't have to buy it, but we also don't have to be happy about it. Right. So what, it's not like, I don't know, but the true believer thing is just crazy because, a lot of the people here, the community, like the Tarkov community, I mean, a lot of EOD people. I mean, of course, there's a lot of people that bought the game in the last year or so. There are a lot of people that bought it in 2020 when the drops happened, but there's a lot of people that still play that bought in 2018, 2017, 2016. You know, there are, in relation to how many games there are, I would imagine there's a very small percentage of games that a large majority of people have put thousands of hours into. You know, like Rust, League of Legends, you know what I mean? There are these staples. And I would say the average hour count for a Tarkov player is higher than the average game. And so there's just such a dedicated community around this game. And so to equate it's time to see who are the true believers with the whole, like, who's going to buy the most expensive version of the game or be okay with it was just
now, I guess for context,
unbelievable.
Allegedly in chat, people are claiming that it was stated that that's like an inside joke, that maybe like, so maybe we're interpreting the line, like, fine, I'll give you that. I don't care much about the true believers line. It was, for me personally, the whole tone, all of the responses.
Yeah. So you read through the whole thing, like the whole leak thing? Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. It just seemed like he just didn't give a fuck.
Yeah.
So like to me, that aspect of it is kind of irrelevant. Like, sure, it's an inside joke. I'll just give it that to you. Like, I don't know. Yeah.
No, I'd never heard that. I haven't heard a single person say that apparently it's an inside joke, the true believer thing. And like I said, I hate dealing with leaked DMs, you know what I mean? Because there is context missing. But even if you remove that line, which I don't think you should, but even if you removed that line, I agree with you that the whole thing was scummy and weird and gross. Anyways, then we get the final Reddit thread yesterday morning, and they outlined exactly what's happening, because that was my biggest thing. At the end, I was like, I'm not happy about any of this, but now the big question is we have is they're just telling us we are going to balance the unheard and the EOD things. And it's like, what does that mean? We really gotta know. You know what I mean? Especially now that we're getting PvE mode, the EOD is, we gotta know, what does balance mean to you? Because I don't think we can trust what you say anymore.
And is there a lot there? Do we wanna take a break before then, or do we want to go into that now, or what do you think?
We can. I can blow through it. It's not
cool.
Yeah, it's not too bad. I'll basically just pull out the highlights, which is, we have come to the following conclusion regarding the list of changes and additions. So they're basically saying, hey, this is what EOD is going to get now, and they're still keeping all of the weird pay. The EOD stuff is weird because everybody was like, hey, we don't want more pay for convenience, pay to win stuff with unheard. And then we're like, well, here's more for EOD. And then we were like, well, no, we don't want that for unheard or EOD. And they're like, okay, we'll balance it. And their balancing it was they only added to the EOD. So I don't know. But you still get all that other stuff, like the quest to get the bigger pockets, the extra karma, the extra insurance, the extra trainer, all that stuff, the daily tasks, the armband and dog tag. But they added, or they defined what the legacy item is, which is it's the ability to call in a friendly BTR. Once called, the item will go on cooldown.
Wait, is that in the full game?
In the full game.
Mm-hmm.
So, dude, I have been so blown away about how in every one of these Reddit threads, they've added something. They've added some like monkey wrench that nobody asked for, that they're getting mad about. Their first response to the whole thing was like, how about priority queue? And everyone's like, no, you don't understand. And then their next response was, we'll add mod support. And we're like, dude, wait, what? And then now this is like, what if you call in BTR? It would be fun. So like they just keep, I don't know what that means. And then everybody's going to be able, everybody else, the Left Behind Prepare for Escape in Standard Edition, they get 2 extra stash lines as a result of this. For free, by the way. No charge. 2 stash lines. And the ability to purchase the PvE mode separately on the site. The Unheard edition, the balances they're doing are the Mark of the Unheard, which was the radio that made scavs not shoot at you from over 60 meters away if you had it. They're making that only active in the PvE mode. They're taking that out of the main game. The Distress Signal device, which is the like assemble the Avengers, will be in both PvE and PvP, but must be recharged in the hideout using high-end items. So my thought is they're just going to end up balancing that by making it like you can use it once and then you need 4 LEDXs and 8 GPUs to recharge it in the hideout. And it's going to be like, I don't like why, you know what I mean? A $50 coupon for Tarkov purchases for the people that bought it at full price. Oh, they added access to Arena to Unheard because originally you didn't get Arena if you bought the Unheard edition, but they added it for free.
I mean, they should also give me access to fucking Roblox too.
Yeah.
I'm not going to pay that either.
Yeah. They added a cultist jacket, whatever. And then they're allowing you to get the pockets. They're opening up the pockets quest. The quest line to get bigger pockets was previously only for EOD. Now everybody can get that quest. And then you're going to be everyone will be able to, through in-game questing, get the legacy device that calls the friendly BTR. And that was it. So, I don't know, man. I don't even know. The whole thing is a wild.
Yikes.
The whole thing is wild.
Well, right now my stream is running as good as their servers are. I don't know. Is the
really?
Call okay? Is the call fine?
Yeah, the call's fine.
Yeah,
your stream's working fine for me.
It's going to be the same fucking bullshit. I'm losing exactly 33% frames. It's exactly what happened like a year or two ago. It's the reason why I'm paying $550 a month for internet, just to avoid this very problem.
Okay.
So I guess hopefully it'll just
It will fix itself.
Sort itself out.
So yeah, man, it was quite the saga. I think it's funny because like we got last week's episode out and I'm glad that we did. And because it was all fresh top of mind. At this point, I feel like the vibe is just exhaustion. People are just like, it was just beating the community over the head, Reddit thread after Reddit thread. Just, we don't understand why you're mad. We aren't sorry that you're mad. We just don't, we can't believe this is happening to us. Is this what you want? No. Is this what you want? No. Is this what you want? No. Well, this is what you're going to get. You know what I mean? It was just a weird weekend full of that. And here we are. This is the new EOD. This is the new Unheard. This is the new PvE mode. Move on is basically the vibe from them. So that is that. It makes me feel sad and I don't know, yucky.
Yeah, I've got some context now because now I give zero fucks about anything. So I've got something that I want to talk about that's pretty juicy after this.
You know what else is juicy? Our sponsor for this episode, Athletic Greens. Athletic Greens, and not only delivers, we want to thank the sponsor for this episode, Athletic Greens. Athletic Greens not only delivers my daily dose of vitamins and minerals, pre and probiotics, and more, but it's a powerful, healthy habit that's also powerfully simple. Just one scoop mixed in water once a day, every day. So I started using Athletic Greens a little over a year ago. We've talked many times before about when left to my own devices, I feel like I just go to the road, like the path of least resistance to food, which is oftentimes either door dashing something or Hot Pockets or something if I don't. And so, I don't know. I had just been feeling for a long time that I was not getting everything I needed in my body. And so it's really nice because part of that journey for me was I ended up just buying like everything. I was like, oh my God, I need fiber. I need a multivitamin. I need this. I need that. I need this. And so Athletic Greens is nice because it's simple. It simplifies the entire routine, and it's just one scoop. It's delicious. It's super easy to make, and it just kind of became a part. I make coffee every morning, and it's something easy to become a part of my morning routine. It supports healthy aging, and they're where is it? Oh, it's a quality product. All of their ingredients go through rigorous testing. So yeah, it's something that I started noticing that I was just feeling better. And it's kind of like one of the building blocks of me trying to become a healthier person. Even when we talked with the Athletic Greens people, and even they were saying like, this isn't like a magic pill. This isn't like a magic juice that makes you a healthy person or fixes you or anything, but it is a simple, easy, consistent building block that helps me kind of point into that direction. So it's awesome. If you want to take ownership of your health, it starts with AG1. Try AG1 and get a free 1-year supply of vitamin D3, K2, and 5 free AG1 travel packs with your first purchase exclusively at drinkag1.com/pogcast. That is drinkag1.com/pogcast. Check it out. Thank you so much to Athletic Greens and AG1 for sponsoring this episode. Okay, so you have juice.
Yeah, man.
So this is about Tarkov still? Juicy context about Tarkov stuff? Okay. Hit me.
So, and I'm pretty sure I talked to you about this off stream previously. But now I simply did my job, and now I simply don't care.
Okay.
About whatever.
Okay.
So remember back, it was like mid-April. I remember I saw Airwing had a tweet where he said, "Learn something new about the cheating community today. Many folks might not know, but all accounts in Tarkov are assigned an ID. This number never changes."
Yeah.
So that whole thing about the whole thing about that information being out there, right? Now, a lot of people were responding with a lot of different things, a lot of speculation, and I already knew, and I'm, have historically repeatedly been in a position where I am privy to information that literally nobody else knows, that for, I would say, good reason, I keep to myself.
Yeah.
I'm not one of those people that goes out and makes drama bait content, right? I'm not going to go make a video talking about this or that. Whether or not people want to argue that it's effective or not it's purely speculation. It could be true, but to me, ethically, going out and potentially the risks associated with the unknown unknowns, to me, aren't worth just going out and effectively profiting under the guise of just wanting to help the community.
Yeah.
What I've historically done, pass the information along directly to Nikita and then keep my mouth shut. Now, what people were talking about, there was a number of people. So there was one particular message that someone said, "I'm a full stack web developer," or I was before I got into the security side more. "The game communicates via a WebSocket with everything like viewing others' profiles to flea markets, stuff all done via that.
Okay.
A simple man in the middle attack is enough." So what they were basically talking about was, because people were trying to figure out like how are the cheaters getting this information, and then there was conversations about Tarkov.dev, the website that had all the information, including the account stuff, right?
Yeah.
So people were speculating basically like to man in the middle. Do you know what a man in the middle attack is?
No. When we're talking about like cyber stuff, no, I have no idea.
So just imagine that the server was like like the little capsules you put in the bank back in the day.
Yes.
I just realized that like no one does that anymore. Do those even exist? Right. But you used to have those little capsules where
my God.
Where you'd like put the deposit slip in the thing and it would go up through the thing and go back to the teller. Right. What a man in the middle attack was basically, imagine if you were on like the roof and you cut a hole into the thing and it would, and you grabbed it, looked at the message, put it back in, and let it continue on its way.
You do that noise so well. Yeah, it's Anyways.
So
it's okay. Okay. So man in the middle, you're intercepting information in between where it's coming from and where it's going.
Yeah. And the thing is that you're not altering anything necessarily. So it's kind of like not like it's non-destructive.
Yeah. Okay.
You're basically just snooping on the shit and doing what you will with it, but you're not changing anything. You're not manipulating anything. So people now that might involve like decryption and certificates and all kinds of other stuff that is infinitely more complicated.
Yeah.
Right. People were going deep into the speculation, and I responded with, because I was just sick of all the fucking speculation. I said it's much simpler than that. No man in the middle required. So what they were describing these people were doing was effectively like, imagine if the Tarkov account data, imagine if that was like cash in a vault, right?
Okay.
What they were describing was Mission Impossible Ocean's 11.
Yeah, okay.
Cutting a hole in the vault. There's fucking different cameras.
Yeah.
Tear gas,
lasers,
whatever, right?
Trip mines.
But in reality, the money was on the front lawn in a big pile, and no one was watching it. The accounts API had no rate limit and required no authentication. You could just go to your browser. I don't actually remember the URL, but you could just type in like api.tarkov.com/accounts and then like type in, like something along the lines of like, count equals 100, start equals 0, and you just see JSON in your browser in Chrome. Like
okay. That's
so like you could just
that's not good. Yeah, the cache was just there.
Yeah. So now that by itself is like kind of borderline unforgivable for a number of reasons. Now let me clarify. I want to explain that this isn't your like, there's no personally identifiable information. There's nothing like you should be worried about.
Okay. That is good to know.
It's not like a privacy security thing for you.
Gotcha.
What it is more of a incompetence, potential performance problem. So the kinds of information that you would see was basically like the items you had in your body, which face you selected, what your clothes were,
gotcha.
Like what was in your inventory, how much money you had, when your account was created, if you were banned or not, and if you were, when you were banned, so your banned status. And your player stats, your skill progress. So
damn,
all of that was easily accessible. So here's one potential problem.
Yeah.
Because there's no rate limit, I would assume, and here's the thing, like I was a software engineer for 10 years. I know a lot about a little and a little about a lot.
Okay, yeah.
I'm not like a security guy.
Yeah.
I stay in my own fucking lane. There's so much I don't know.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't even know how you would go about doing this. But honestly, give me an afternoon in Google and I could figure it out. But it would seem to me like what you could potentially do is just spin up a bunch of bots or scripts and just effectively DDoS.
Oh.
I don't know if anybody did this ever or
whatever.
Yeah.
But if like, something has no rate limit, it means that this can be done. At least.
So like, so it's just like, it just seems incompetent, inept, brain dead that this would be a thing. And it gets slightly worse than that. Because like I said, it's kind of unforgivable that it would have been done that way. For so long, presumably forever, right? Like
there's no reason to believe.
I can't imagine it was there before and then wasn't there now.
Yeah.
But what's worse is the way I found out about this is the way that I found out about most of these things. I don't go fucking poking around.
Yeah.
I'm not like a white hat hacker. I don't fuck around like that.
Yeah.
Someone reached out to me. Now I did verify.
Yeah.
I actually just like hit the API a couple of times, like your client does hundreds of times, right? I was just like, boop. Well, looks like he's, looks like it's correct. But someone reached out to me and was like, I've got a database of 2 million users and all their data, all their account, like their stats and stuff. You want it? Because remember how I was talking about how I wish I had access to all of these stats to do like data analysis, data science on. And he's like, I've got a database with 2 million. You want it?
Holy
And it was
cow.
like, so I reached out to Nikita and was basically like, hey man, I'm sure because at this point everybody was talking about the Tarkov.dev shit.
Yeah.
So I'm like, there's no way this wouldn't be on his radar.
Yeah.
That,
like the puzzle pieces together. Everyone on Twitter is like, oh, look at this new crazy UI for the thing. And it's like, that can't happen without something being messed up here.
Yeah.
So when you find
and also, and part of the reason why I want to say this too is because a lot of people are speculating that there was like I had access to the API and that's what I used for my app, which is not the case. It was never the case. So I just want to throw it, I didn't have official access to fucking any information, any of that stuff. So, but to me, the worst part was that when I went to Nikita and I basically said, hey, I'm sure you're aware of this. He was like, can you give me more information? Which is like, it's really, 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 really a simple thing to say, hey, like your account's API has no rate limit and no authentication. You don't need any more information. You shouldn't need any more information than that. You should have all the information. That's all the information you need. Right? Like if I said, hey, did you know your front door, the doorknob is off the door?
Wait.
And your front patio light bulb is broken?
Can you please elaborate?
It's like, you should either go, we had to break in because we lost our key. I got locked out or whatever, or it should be, oh, fuck. And then,
Yeah. You run to your door. Yeah.
I was expecting him to be like, yeah, we're working on it.
Yeah.
So then, and I was literally out. It was like a side thought. I was at like family fucking Easter or something. I forget when it was. Was that like and I'm like on my phone. He's like, can you give me more info? I'm like, I don't have all the info offhand, but like just explained it. And he's like, okay, we'll look into it. And it's like, now again, I don't know if he gives me some weird doublespeak, like it's a facade, like he's acting like he doesn't know. There's a world in which he's playing 5D chess or something. but historically speaking, whenever I bring stuff like this to him, and I've been doing this for 5-6 years now, I have a lot of these kinds of things, and I'm not going to go fucking back through DMs and go, I'm not trying to, like nuke any bridges.
Yeah.
It's fine if they're on fire because I didn't set them on fire, so I don't fucking care, right? But like, I'm not about to like scorched earth. But all I can say is that this kind of thing is not the first time this kind of thing has happened. And so I want to say this because one of the things I responded with, because someone was saying, like Hotel Bravo, one of the community members, he said, I think people are missing the point where you said you blank the user IDs. The fact that names are a list isn't a big deal. It's the fact that user IDs are a list, so cheaters can keep tabs on streamers, blah, blah, blah. And I said, I have a feeling this won't be a thing much longer. We'll see. Because I had told Nikita, and I'm like, it should have been patched within an hour or something.
Yeah,
like,
okay.
And I don't know. I literally haven't gone back. I don't even remember the guy's name. So I was scrolling through. I've got 8 billion Discord messages.
Yeah.
And I don't remember names of all the people. So I'd have to click on every individual name I don't recognize, which is most of them, to go look to see. Yeah. Because I would ask him if it's still a thing. I don't remember the URLs, and I just don't feel like I don't care.
You don't care. Who cares?
But I wouldn't be surprised if it was just still a thing.
Yeah.
So all of that is, again, to just say, like, this is the kind of shit that's going on. This is the kind of shit I have been dealing with personally for half of a decade. Maybe just to try to give a little additional context into Veritas's mind, in that maybe the next time anybody says or thinks how much I was like a know-it-all and I acted like this and that, it's like, sometimes I actually do have fucking information that's more than people have. Yeah. And for ethical reasons, for non-selfish reasons, in fact, for self-damaging reasons, I keep it to myself.
Yep.
And because I actually fucking cared about the game and I had respect for Nikita to not go and share all this information, and it was just time and time again, it just seemed like they either don't know what they're doing or don't care. And with all the stuff that happened, literally within weeks of this whole, I'm just kind of over it.
Yeah.
And I'm not trying to act like I'm a fucking hero.
Yeah.
I'm just trying to give context into how long.
Yeah, for sure.
For how many things it's been like. This has been a thing that's been like on my shoulders that I wish I could talk about.
Yeah, yeah.
That I've kept private.
Dude, that's crazy. That is insane. It was like almost immediately, all this stuff started coming up that apparently cheaters were hunting Unheard Edition people. Like they were...
Folks were saying, and I don't know if this is true, that cheaters were getting into the PvE games, killing people, and then taking their gear and selling it in the live game.
Yeah,
which I don't know if it's a thing or not.
Dude, I've heard that stuff too. I have no idea. Of course, it got weird where all of a sudden, it's so funny. Like, I know this is a small group of people, but it's so funny how many people are like immediately go like, hell yeah, get them, cheaters. And that is just mind-blowing to me because everyone brings up cheating as a problem in this game. It's the number one issue, and it's crazy how quickly you could just employ the cheaters as your vigilante justice. It's like, dude, I didn't buy the stupid edition of the game either, but it's like, Jesus Christ, do we really want cheaters hunting them down? Like, that's out of control. Yeah, I don't know, man. It just like something definitely just broke. You know what I mean? And now there's all sorts of stuff. Like, I don't know if you saw Sigma's post, but she posted about like evasion and a lot of the struggles that she and the evasion team have faced for years now, and some of the pretty unfortunate.
She got the shit end of the stick. Sigma has been a literal like silent pillar, backbone for the fucking community. She did so much for BSG.
Yeah.
And they repeatedly for years fucked her over, and she deserves way more credit. She deserves way more respect. She deserves way more appreciation. She deserves way more than she ever got, and it's just so fucking sad.
Yeah. And so they're like, Evasion's not doing any more Tarkov tournaments or anything. And then I even saw Iron Fist, who was another Tarkov content creator and was an emissary, kind of talk about his experience with them and some like threatens to be banned for talking about cheesing lighthouse quests and stuff, which is crazy. And that like, I don't know, and how that affected him. So, I mean, it's been a cluster. Today, BSG went live on their Twitch playing Arena because they added the free-for-all mode, by the way, today. And
the thing I wanted for 100 billion years.
Yeah.
And
Yeah. So they added the free-for-all mode to Arena, and they were playing it, and dude, the chat was out of control. It was out. I pulled it up twice for 10 seconds each, and I was like, hi. And then apparently, I know literally nothing about this, nothing to report, but apparently Nikita came on and talked for a little bit, and like he said stuff in Russian, and people were like, he's making fun of the community or whatever. I don't know anything about what he said if he came on the show. I just kept, people were like, oh my God, Nikita's on, or this, that, or the other. What they did tweet, what Dimitri tweeted, is that in May, they're going to do another Tarkov TV live. So, dude, holy cow. Like, it is going to be a cluster. And a cluster of their own making. You know what I mean? Obviously, it shouldn't have to be stated, but it did have to be stated multiple times in my chat over these.
Yeah.
Don't take it too far. Don't threaten people or be violent or cheat in the video game. Like, don't become the very thing you swore to destroy. But they very clearly burned a lot of people. They very clearly don't understand how that even could be possible. They very clearly are just doing their thing. So it's going to be a cluster.
So do you want, I just found, do you want some, so I was actually trying to find a platform because it's been so long since I've been in the game. I was trying to find like an online affordable platform that could do some like cloud data science.
Okay.
And then I there was like literally was doing this on like a weekend or whatever. Spent, I don't know, maybe a couple hours, and then I thought, like, why am I dedicating any fucking time to this shit? And then I put my laptop away and like went out for ice cream with my wife.
Yeah.
And I haven't looked back, and I'm not going to, so don't bother asking. But I can share with you some of the statistics that I had gathered.
Yeah.
From the 2 million. Now, once again, I didn't hit any APIs and download any, whatever. It was handed to me just like for years. I was the middleman between Nikita and literal cheaters.
Yeah.
Who were giving cheat programs and whatever.
Yeah.
So now, and I also never touched anything that was via like Google Drive links and shit. Like
Yeah.
Never touched it. But now this isn't really data science. I didn't really do any analysis or anything. What I did first was, because the files were so big and it was in a format that I didn't feel like working with, I wrote some fucking JavaScript to basically take these massive files and split them into individual JSON files with like 10,000 accounts.
Oh, like clumps of 10,000. Okay.
Because just processing, you don't want to have to open up a file that's like 2 billion fucking 2 million players.
Yeah.
Every time you want to run, whatever. So the first thing I did was just split it up into chunks, and I had like, a bunch of, like EFT_1, EFT_2, and then I could iterate through each and do some numbers. And what I found was, like, and this is kind of what happens when you have a massive data set, is that you grab like a subset of the data, like 10,000, and it's effectively a statistically significant subset of the greater.
Oh, yeah. So
population.
You're saying most of the time you find that any kind of statistic you pull from 10K rings true of the 2 million?
Pretty much.
For like, yeah. Okay.
I'm looking at like 15 of the output that I spit out. So what I did was I went through, and for each account, I said, is this person banned?
Yeah.
Yes or no? And I put them in 2 buckets. And then I tracked the hours, the hours the account had, what their KD was, and I feel like I did something else. That might have been what I did for this. I don't even know where the files are. I dumped a bunch of stuff. So and I'll read like the first chunk.
Yeah. Okay.
So this was I was doing it in 10,000, and for some reason, I'd have to look back through my script. For some reason, the numbers come out to usually around like 8,500 for each.
Okay.
So I'm guessing either the format of the JSON was slightly different for some subset of them. Like it would be like, the user dot account dot band state dot whatever. Like it was nested. They were nested differently.
Yeah.
Their structure was fucking weird. But so the first chunk I did was there was 8,242 unbanned players and 22 banned players. So that's 0.3%.
Okay.
The average hours of the legit, and of course, I'm sure some of them, I'm sure the numbers are probably like down because there's some subset of those are probably cheaters.
Yeah, cheating that just haven't been banned yet.
But so the average hours for legitimate players was about 1,400, and for banned it was about 800. So we're talking like
1,400 hours is like, that's crazy for an average. That's a lot of damn hours.
Now what I don't know too is a possibility that the order, I don't know what the order was. So it's possible that the order was in such a way that it was like front loaded to be fairly new players, or maybe it was completely random. I don't know if it was by a ID and it's just a random UUID string of characters. Not sure. So take everything with a grain of salt. The average KD of the unbanned players was 4.6. The average KD of the players that were banned was 12.2. So they had like 2/3 of the time. And like 3 times
the KD.
Now here's the thing. Once again, I got to caveat all this because the brainlets will say, "Oh, well, all you got to do is just check the hours and check the KD." Like that's not how it works because there's outliers. You just can't do that.
Yeah,
you just can't do that. None of this could be used in like an anti-cheat.
Correct.
These could be used maybe as individual parameters in a massive like neural network to like train some AI system to try to see patterns. This is kind of what I was looking to do. I actually wanted to see if I could see if there was a cloud-based neural network where I could train it on the data and basically have it spit out correlations or patterns. But I couldn't be fucking bought. Like you'd have to pay me a lot of money to give a fuck about this.
Yeah.
So that was like the first chunk. Let me go down and I'll just like look at like the 7th chunk.
Yeah.
8,100 legit, 31 banned. So 0.4%. Average legit hours, 1,377. Average banned hours, 994. So again, pretty similar.
Consistent,
average KD, 4.6. Average banned KD, 8.3.
Yeah.
So we see somewhere around, 50, 60, 70% of the hours, 2 to 3 times the KD.
Yeah.
And that basically held fairly consistent where 0.3%, I'd say 0.3% on average of the, let's just say 150,000 I looked at.
Yeah.
About 0.3% of the accounts that exist were banned. Now I also could further see, this is like where you go down rabbit holes and rabbit holes. I would have wanted to filter potentially by accounts maybe that were like if the last login was within like the last 90 days.
It's
to see if
that's not a number to take and tweet 0.3% are cheaters. You know what I mean? It's because there's so much once again that you don't care to like go through and verify 100% the right way. How many accounts, how many of them are active players? When was the last time they played? Yeah. I'm with you on that this isn't like information we can be like, oh my God, 0.3% of everyone playing is cheating. But it is interesting.
Yeah. So, I mean, so clearly, I think it's safe to say that the banned accounts don't tend to last as long.
Yeah.
Well, which kind of
That's still so many hours.
That might also kind of be like
so many
hours. Yeah, I don't know, but I mean, it looks like they're all around 800. Oh, this one, wow, okay, this one was in the second group actually, 0.3%. Now this is weird. So here's where again, all I got from this is like in order to get definitive anything.
Yeah.
I'd have to spend far more time and think far more about this than I care. But so like in the second group, it was about 1,400 hours for the unbanned, 1,200 for the banned. So that's a lot closer. Yeah. We're talking 12 divided by 14, 85-ish% of the time played. And the average KD for the unbanned was 4.5, and for the banned was 6. So again, that second group was a little bit closer.
Yeah.
But overall, I'd say on average, you're probably looking at roughly 2x the KD and roughly 2/3 the time.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's literally like
it's just
kind of meaningless.
Yeah.
It's basically meaningless. And I know, and this is me being like chaotic good.
Yeah.
I know that most people are going to extrapolate a whole bunch of wrong shit, and it's just going to lead to chaos and Reddit posts, and I just don't care anymore.
Yeah.
I just don't care.
No.
You have the information. Do with it what you want. I don't fucking care. Now, what I won't do is release the data.
Yeah.
Maybe fucking Deep Throat wants to go and fucking release it, but I'll talk about some mini analysis that I do.
Yeah.
But even though there's no personally identifiable information, that's just liability I'm not about to fuck with.
Yeah.
So for all I know, assume I'm just lying about everything. I don't care.
This was everything that we just talked about was in GTA, by the way. Like,
exactly.
That was all in GTA.
Exactly.
GTA 6, because Veritas hacked Rockstar Games and is playing it. Dude, what a weird time. What a weird time to be alive in the Tarkov community. It's so weird because there's like other stuff happening and like they're doing the Tarkov TV, and I was telling you that it was so weird because all the other patches, all the other patch notes that came in that patch were really good, like reduced inertia, reduced aim punch, reduced blur. Yeah, this is Veritas.
Mm-hmm. Tell me more.
Yeah. Let it burn. Yeah, I don't know. The only other like Tarkov related thing, I was gonna put this at the end, but let's just get through it really quick. Was that they did release? Dude, I can't look at that. You can't. They did release a roadmap for Arena. It's very small. They released a patch today that adds Last Hero, which is the like free for all. The next patch, they're synchronizing the accounts to the main account. And the 2.0 patch that's after that, the only two things worth noting are ability to create a fully custom preset under certain rules and new gameplay mode with asymmetrical gameplay, parentheses, attack defense. So I read the roadmap.
A little too late.
I know. I'm with you, right? I don't say that to say, OMG, they'll fix Arena, whatever. I just say, I read the roadmap. Those were the two interesting things. Fully custom presets and attack defense, asymmetrical gameplay mode. I tend to be there with you on like too little too late. You know what I mean? But we'll see. We'll see.
If they had done this a month ago, maybe we'd be in a different position.
Yep. Or if they hadn't just nuked their entire community, we'd be in a different position. But so.
Yeah, that's what I mean, right? Because like I was down, and then they lit the fuse.
Yeah.
Where if I was like, and I had been imagine if I had been playing Tarkov.
Yeah.
I might be, I don't know. I don't know. Maybe I would be slightly less salty. I don't know.
Yeah. I don't know. But anyways, that is that stuff. Now, the other half, the other part of the podcast is I do want to talk about Gray Zone Warfare because I've been playing a whole lot of that.
Yeah.
Before we do, however, I want to take a second to thank the second sponsor of this episode, and that is BetterHelp. We've been working with BetterHelp for a while. We're super excited to do so. BetterHelp is an online platform where you can get counseling or therapy. You can get paired up with somebody that works and gels with you. And it's really easy. It's really simple. It's really convenient. And it is really valuable and important. It is tremendously valuable to have somebody in your life that you can talk to without fear of judgment. And you can just get stuff out, whether that's a real deep, like crazy thing happening in your life, or as a preventative measure, just because you're unhappy with where you are in work or where you are in life, or your social battery is just drained and you don't know what to do. You don't know how to fill it. Like, it is pretty tremendous how much benefit you can get from talking to someone about it.
I mean, yeah, dude, like all I can say, we talked about this a little bit on the Patreon episode. Like I legitimately was not in a great place.
Yeah.
This time 8 months to a year ago. I just being honest was real down, was having a real rough time with a lot of things. And if it wasn't for my wife and it wasn't for therapy, I might have given up on content creation. Things would be a lot different.
Yeah.
Now from what happened legitimately through therapy and with spring coming around, genuinely, like, just things are so much better, dude. Yeah. I said this a few weeks back. For the first time in a long time, I was like dancing in the fucking kitchen, making food with my wife, and it was like, bro, I haven't just like felt normal in so fucking long, and all I can say is that I wouldn't have been able to do it without therapy. So it's no fucking joke. I don't care what anyone says. Nothing more is more important than your mental health.
Yeah, for sure. And I mean, I also have personal experiences, like huge decisions, huge parts of my life, huge like course corrections happened as a result of therapy that lasted years with me and my wife. And like, it was, one of the best things we've ever done. So, and what's great about BetterHelp is it's simple and convenient. It's super easy to reschedule appointments. It's super easy to like find someone you gel with if you were with somebody that you didn't. It's all online, and it just feels like it makes sense. So you can find your social sweet spot with BetterHelp. Visit BetterHelp.com/Pogcast today to get 10% off your first month. That is BetterHelp, HELP.com/Pogcast. Thank you so much to Pogcast. Thank you so much to BetterHelp for sponsoring this episode of the podcast.
Indeed.
Okay. So Gray Zone Warfare. So that was crazy. So last week we talked about the playtest. The playtest ended. It ended literally Wednesday and then Thursday. It literally ended Wednesday night, the playtest for Gray Zone. And then Thursday, Tarkov set itself on fire. And then it comes around to, they ended up announcing on Monday that the early access of the game would go live on Tuesday. So some super interesting.
Something real quick. I put in during our the Patreon episode. I put this line here on our notes.
Oh yeah.
Something that I wanted to say. Basically, how do I word this? I felt empathetic towards the devs over there.
Yeah.
Knowing just how hard of a position they were in.
Yeah.
Because what they're dealing with basically is people who are so sick and tired of all the bullshit that we've been roped through for the last 6 or 7 years.
Yeah.
That like we kind of have no patience for it.
Yeah.
And we won't put up with it. And so I was like, wow, I don't envy these guys.
Yeah.
for basically being like remotely close.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, for sure. It was really interesting to see a lot of the response to the BSG stuff and how that affected like a bunch of other games. You know what I mean? Like Gray Zone for sure. Everybody, you know, was like Gray Zone will. There was not everybody. Bad term. A lot of people were like Gray Zone is going to save us, or Arena Breakout is going to save us. And there were a few people like Slush Puppy and a few other people. I think it was Slush. There were a few people who were like, "Yo, don't just swing from one branch to another. Don't just say this developer, you know, freaking screwed us. This developer is going to be perfect, right? Like, don't go to another game or another developer with the baggage of just, it was Pep's tweet, of you're going to save me from this. You know what I mean? Gray Zone, it's just as likely that these guys are going to do some Monka stuff later. I hope they don't, but you just got to take each thing as what it is. You know what I mean? I found it to be funny that so many people were latching on to like Arena Breakout as going to do that. I don't have anything against Arena Breakout. I played their mobile game and thoroughly enjoyed it. But what I found funny specifically was that so much of the negative response to the BSG stuff was like pay to win. And then people were like, I'm so excited for Arena Breakout, which is on mobile. Like, I think you have to pay a subscription to get a secure container. It's like, so I was like, all right. I mean, you can be excited for Arena Breakout. I'm not saying you shouldn't be if that game looks fun to you, but what are we doing here? You know what I mean? Let's take a breath. Let's just hold on. Anyways, so that is an interesting point. What a time to launch Gray Zone Warfare and have to, interesting. And I know the Tarkov community is only a part. It's a big part, but it's only a part of the people who are interested in Gray Zone. What I found, so one of the other things, what I found was so many people. I mean, thousands of times a day since Tuesday, since I've been playing Gray Zone, have been like, it's crazy that they pushed the release of Gray Zone just to capitalize on the Tarkov drama. And it was like, okay, hold on. I know the timing is crazy, but that's not how it worked. Like, we knew.
You also can't like just conceptually, like I haven't thought about this until now.
Yeah.
But like, are we talking like 48 hours?
Yeah.
Like you don't, I don't know. You don't move that.
The Tarkov stuff broke on a Thursday, and then Gray Zone released Tuesday. I don't feel like that you could push it that fast. But secondly, if you
could, you'd have balls of steel, dude. That's like one of those.
January, February, they were letting the VIPs know that the plan was to do a play test and to release the game right after. Then, weeks before the Tarkov drama happened, they announced when the play test is going to be, or a week or so before the Tarkov drama, they announced when the play test was going to be. And then they delayed the patch. They delayed the Gray Zone launch to work on some feedback from the playtest. So like all of that was set in stone before that Thursday when the Tarkov drama blew up, unless someone at Gray Zone also works at PSG and knew what was about to happen. It was completely what I don't want to say lucky. It was just completely coincidental timing on these two things happening. Yeah, it's so weird. It was so, I mean, I get it. I get the question, but we have to be able to accept the answer to the question. Does that make sense? Now let's talk about let's just move the F on from Tarkov, right? And talk about Gray Zone. So here's the deal. I am having fun. I've played Tuesday, Wednesday, and I played today. I will say, though, that the sentiment is pretty shared among the community, among the people that played. At the end of the playtest, I literally said, I was like, this game is awesome. It has convinced me of its potential. But I remember being like, I remember being like, if they release it in the next few weeks, I don't know how much time I'll play on it because it needs more time in the oven. And they released it. You know what I mean? They did some changes. They fixed some things from the playtest. But, the game is definitely needs a little bit more time in the oven. I'm having fun. It's so hard, man. This conversation, I've just had the same conversation 1,000 times. Is it worth it? Should I buy it? Is it fun? And it's so hard because it's like, I don't know, man, just watch some stuff. And if you like it, buy it. It's $35.
Just make
more
money so that it doesn't matter if it's bad. God.
Yeah.
Just have money be no option, and then you won't have to care about anything.
Yeah. But yeah. So
that was sarcasm for everybody listening in the audio version that couldn't see my shit-eating grin face.
So, anyways, so it's an interesting thing. It's. I don't even know what I want to say here, man. It's just nuanced. Is the game fun? Am I having fun? Am I having what I believe to be $35 worth of fun out of this game? Absolutely. But I've also been extremely vocal about my thoughts on the game and it as a long-term adventure. We don't have anything in Ground Zero. We don't know what's happening in there. PvP doesn't really, feel super rewarding because all of the best loot in the game you can buy. I've been super open and super clear about where I think the game needs more time or more content or to be fleshed out a little bit. The line is so poorly drawn in the sand of what people's expectations are about an early access title, right? Everything has been said. Well, Tarkov was a piece of crap when it launched into early access. Well, you don't know what early access is. Well, if they're putting it on Steam, it should be a functional game. I've heard everything under the sun. The thing is that I just don't know. I wasn't the one that decided to do it. I agree. The general sentiment around just everybody basically that played in the playtest was that we were super excited for what this game could be, but it needed some more time in the oven. They released it as is with some fixes. And, I think that sentiment is just being shared where a lot of people are like, yeah, this is fun. I'm playing it for a little bit, but this isn't a 10,000 hour game. So many people are like they cracked the goddamn Da Vinci Code. Dude, bro's going to be back on Tarkov in a week. Watch, bet. It's yeah, I've been saying that for 3 days. You're not the smartest person. So it's just been an interesting launch, to say the least, I guess.
Bro, it's so complicated because we've seen games that are free, early access, mad updates constantly, and then they sell it later. We've seen games that get pushed full price 1.0 and come out half-baked dog shit. We've seen games that are early access that don't release, that are fucking scams. We've seen games that are early access for 754 years, like Tarkov, and then they pull shit. We've seen all of the things, right? So it's take a step back and remember, imagine you're a developer and you want to do early access, right?
Yeah.
We were okay with Tarkov.
Yeah.
We were okay with paying $150 7 years ago for Tarkov to be shit, for basically the next 7 years.
Yeah.
With a big ellipse at the end, not knowing how it's going to end.
Yeah.
So anybody who bought Gray Zone anticipating, not thinking that what they got would be acceptable or possible, they're just delusional.
Yeah.
They're just delusional. To some extent, I think we all need to be aware and okay, unless it's a scam, like the day before or whatever.
Yeah.
That you're gonna get a game, caveat emptor, shit might be fucking broken, servers might be scuffed on the first couple of days. Don't freak the fuck out it's the beginning of the pandemic and you're trying to buy toilet paper, or Tickle Me Elmo in 1994 where you're moms are stabbing each other
Friday.
at Walmart, right? Don't freak the fuck out.
Yeah.
No one should be mad or upset that it's a little bit scuffed in the first couple of days because it's early access. And we'll see where it goes, right? If 10 years go by and it's Tarkov 2.0, we should all be up in arms and be mad and blah, blah, blah. But like, give it a couple of weeks, months, patches, whatever, right? Like,
and the thing,
honestly, when I see like the pictures on Twitter of like naked dudes in underwear with like missing heads and like floating sunglasses, that shit is funny to me. That's some like Bethesda, Skyrim, Oblivion, laughable shit, right? It's when you like invest, hundreds of hours in a game that like completely cucks you over and over and over and over again, that like it becomes unacceptable. At this point, it hasn't been long enough and there haven't been enough problems where it's unacceptable. Let it be. If you're fucking worried and you're going to be a butthurt on Twitter and you're going to be a Karen, don't buy the game.
Yeah, I think the thing that I like, because here's the deal. If your opinion is the game's not ready, I don't want to buy it, that's an unbelievably valid opinion. Like, basically, the line I've been drawing all day to tell people is if you're uncertain on if you want to buy it, don't buy it. Like, you know what I mean? If you're certain you want to buy it, I do think if you are certain you want to buy Gray Zone and you're just coming to ask my opinion, I think you will get $35 worth of fun out of it. If you're uncertain, I would just say wait, right? Because don't spend your money, just wait. But if your opinion is that the game's not for you, you thought it was, like, maybe you saw some trailers and you're like, the game's not for me, super valid opinion. If you're like, the game is too buggy, too weird right now, I've heard some about performance issues and I don't want to buy it, that's also fine too. But what I do want to toss out is that from a development standpoint, Madfinger Games couldn't have done a better job, in my opinion, maybe I could be proven wrong, at setting a proper expectation. And what I mean by that is they release some trailers, they generate a lot of hype. They don't let you pre-order it, right? Like, let's go back to the Battlefield 2042 fiasco where the whole machine was a pre-order this game right now machine. The whole thing, you get early access, you get all this stuff. Please, please, please pre-order. This game is not finished. We want to make as much money. The devs released some trailers, garnered some hype. You can't pre-order the game. They invite 20 content creators. I was not included. You were. They say, play this build we have. Release your thoughts in a YouTube video. No holds barred. Say whatever you want to say. 10 to 15 of those creators.
And also, they also had a very lengthy Google Doc where they asked a lot of questions.
Yeah, and wanted feedback.
Which Tarkov literally never did, A. And B, I didn't play afterwards really for very long for reasons completely separate. But I will say that they absolutely addressed.
Yeah.
They addressed more concerns and more and implemented more things and more ideas that I had for this than Tarkov did in the last 5 years.
Yeah. So they say 20 creators, play the build we have, and release your thoughts. That's such a scary thing for them to do because if you're a dev, hey, this is a build where we've got other builds, we're working on stuff, but you're not sure if the content creator knows that, you know what I mean? But they said, we're not going to censor it, say whatever you want. 10 or 15 of those creators made videos, and every single creator's video expressed very real and legitimate concerns about the game. Not one of those videos, I watched them, dude. That it makes me so mad when people like all these content creators are glazing up this game saying it's sick. Go back.
Nobody was shilling.
No one. Every video was like, yo, this game was fun, but I'm super worried about this. They have to change this. This is the worst I've ever seen in a game. Boom. Their next step is they did a play test with about 1,000 people, like 200 to 300 content creators, and each person got 3 additional keys. Also during this time, still can't pre-order the game. No NDA. So for a week, every single content creator, every single content creator in the Tarkov community was saying the same thing during the playtest. This is super fun, needs more time, needs more content, needs more stuff. Then they said, hey, the game is $35. We're launching into early access if you want to support the vision. So I say all that to say, all of those opinions are valid. If you don't think the game has enough content, if you don't want to play it, if it doesn't look like a game for you, if you think it's a walking sim, if you think it's a heli sim, that's fine. But if we accept that we live in a world where some smaller developers can only make their games if they get the funding, through the players, if we accept that early access can be a scourge on our industry, but also can produce a few good titles, then it's like they did this the best way possible. No scummy pre-orders, no NDAs. They let people speak their mind. Every single content creator that I interacted with that played this game vocalized their concerns very publicly. And I'm not saying that you have to have listened to content creators before, but I'm just saying there was no shilling, there was no paid videos, there was no sponsorships, there was no, this is the best.
No, and I was there.
Everyone expressed the concerns of the game.
Every behind the curtains, closed door conversations with the biggest content creators in the world. Like I was there for those conversations. At no point did they ever say anything like say good things. They never implied it. It was never, it was very straightforward. Play the game, give us your feedback.
Yeah.
We look forward to it.
Yeah. So
it was never, and I have had like sponsors ask me to play the game and basically try to say like, really try to make it in a good light. Like, there was none of that.
Yeah.
There was none of that, which I think is worth.
It's worth something.
Worth calling out.
Yeah. So that's what I'm saying is that like we're in basically it's just the opinion is you do you. You know what I mean? Like you do you. If you don't think the game looks fun, don't buy it. They have done everything in their power to adequately express what the game is. They're on the Steam early access thing. Every content creator that's made any shred of content on it has expressed a bunch of concerns with the game and vocalized relatively similar opinions. You just don't have to buy it if you don't want to, and that's okay. I think that I agree with all the things. We went through a lot of the stuff in the last episode, and all of it's largely the same. The changes that they made where the AI feel way better. They the hit reg feels way better, and they're less aimbody. They're still pretty aimbody, but they're less aimbody. The hit reg feels better. You can shoot off the helicopters now. They added a little bit of invulnerability when you get off the helicopter, so you literally can't just like fall over dead as you get off the helicopter. So super small changes from the playtest, but every opinion I have is still the same, which is that, PvP can be phenomenal and you get glimpses of how that game could be so much fun, but it can also be kind of lame when it just becomes a meat grinder of everybody hellying in naked trying to get their stuff. The heli system is freaking a really cool novel aspect of the game, but I think it needs to be tweaked. I think there needs to be more helipads. I think they need to be farther away from the POIs.
They need the did you ever play Far Cry?
Oh yeah.
They need individual little mini helis that you can that even if it's like
so sick.
It's just like it's lower and you can only go half as far, but you get there twice as fast. And you don't have to wait. I don't know, some like the
dude, ground vehicles, like little ATVs or something like that would just help with traversal. Lots of stuff. The economy is like a big thing for me. There's death doesn't really mean anything because all of the best stuff, like I'm 3 days in, which is a lot of hours, right? I'm not, you can't just get through the quests real quick, but a few days in, I can buy better gear than I can find already. So death doesn't really mean a lot because I can just go back. In most open world, most survival games though, and like DayZ, right? Like you go out and you finally have a good gun and you finally have good ammo for it. And when you die, that feels weighty because now all you have is I can find this knife and this Makarov, right? But because
I've got like 300 hours in DayZ, and I don't think I ever got better than like a ghetto ass like SKS.
Yeah.
Like I don't even know what it's like to play with the good stuff.
Yeah. So because you can just die and buy your stuff back, like the threat of death isn't super high. It's missing a lot of reasons to, I think, and then the other thing is it's missing a lot of reasons to engage with anything other than the quests. There's 150 quests, and you're either doing the quests or you're running at a base or you're like trolling. Those are like the three things to do, right? Because you can do the quests, but when you get through all of them, what do you do? Which is like, okay, well, let's go get into fights. So you either just kind of run towards POIs to get into fights, but you can't really loot anything off of the people that you kill. Their bodies despawn. They don't really have anything that's better than what you can buy. Or you're trolling at exfils, right? Those are really the only things to do. So more they've talked about a lot of them, a lot of the stuff that's going to happen in Ground Zero, a lot of the faction controlled things with special traders, and you have to, but we just don't have that yet. That's the kind of stuff that I was like, man, I'd like to, if that stuff was, cooked in the oven, if they had waited 3-6 months and released it with a few of those things, that would be sick.
Like, here's the thing. You always have to ask yourself, like, people are like, oh, it should have been like there longer in the oven. People were fucking begging. You should have seen the amount of DMs I had because I had like 4 or 5 keys to play during that play test. The number of fucking DMs I had from people frothing at the fucking mouth, begging me, sure. God, please, let me have access. So it's like,
I had so many
freedom.
Yeah.
You have the freedom to play the game or not.
Yeah.
You should be a normal fucking human being. Like, if you're not old enough to be able to recognize what you're potentially walking into, you're not old enough to play the game, okay?
Yeah.
So you have no fucking excuse.
Yeah.
Would you rather not play it and have nobody play it for 6 months until it's fully baked?
Yeah.
In which case they aren't getting as much feedback.
Yeah.
As they would be if more people were playing it.
Yeah.
Or what are you asking?
Yeah.
If you don't want them to have released it, then you shouldn't have bought it. So
yeah,
I don't know.
I think the difference there, I think I think the argument is most people that played it, most of the people in the playtest, whether they were streamers or not, right, were saying, hey, this needs a little bit more time. And then obviously the people were, there were a lot of people that were really excited to play it. But the point I was trying to make was that all of those things are true. And I think that the game needs a lot of work in that sense. But on the flip side, I also feel like this game offers a lot more than a lot of early access games. So I don't get a lot of the hate either. Like, what I'm saying is that I can acknowledge that all of those things need work and that all of those things progressing would make the game feel better. But at the same time, there are 150 quests to do. It is a big open world. There's lots of LZs to find. There's lots of points of interest. The PvP can be really engaging, in certain instances. And so for $35, yeah, it just goes back to the, like, you have the freedom to do whatever you want. If you see the game and you're super excited about it, I really think you'll get 35 hours worth of fun or $35 worth of fun out of it. And if you look at it and you're like, man, I don't know about this game, then you absolutely shouldn't buy it. You know what I mean? It's pretty simple to me. I don't know.
The people that are butthurt it has to be the same people who are like typing in my chat, game will be dead by the end of the year.
Yeah.
Because like here's the deal. Sure, it could be. A million games. Kerbal Space Program, rest in peace. They're literally like shutting down the fucking whole developer thing.
No way.
It's gonna be, I'm sure there's more news to it, but like, no game developer is fucking immune from shit just going away.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
It could be the greatest game ever. It could be a fucking giant scam. It could be the whole range of all the things. But the people saying it'll be dead by the end of the year. Yeah. You have some motivation. Like, you want it to be. You need it to be.
Yeah.
Like, BetterHelp.com/podcast. Like, what the fuck? It's just, sure. Yeah, man.
Yeah.
Like, literally the only people, like, all of us, all we're saying is, here's the information. We don't know how it's going to be. And all the people who are, like, super upset and butthurt are all the people that, like, are,
exactly,
this is what it's going to be. This is what it has to be. And it's like, pump the brakes. You're being weird.
The people that are uber mad seems like their motivation for being uber mad are because people are unnecessarily defending the game, but that's not happening. You know what I mean? It's like the lens with which their anger.
They call us shilling for it.
The lens with which their anger takes is a false one. It's exactly that. It's the game's going to be dead in a year, and that aggression seems like you're staking your future on this, and you're making such a bad decision, man. It's going to be dead in a year. And when you say that, I say, yeah, it very well could be. Like, if they mismanage this project, this could be absolutely dead in the water.
They went full. I'm not like extremist on one end, getting ready for the fight with the extremists on the other end, and there's no
extremists on the other end. Yeah, exactly. And I think
they're literally on one side, like, hell no, we won't buy it. And everybody's like, fine.
Okay, do not buy it.
There's one family crossing the street, like, fine, fuck, like, yeah. There's nobody on the other side.
I think that's exactly it. I have yet to find the extremists, the gray zone warfare apologists. I've been called one, which is crazy because, like, I did. It was so funny. I was telling people all day yesterday, don't buy the game. That people were like, man, I'm not sure about this. I was like, dude, don't buy it. And then I had somebody who was just like so convinced that I had been paid specifically $250 to promote the game. Like, he kept coming back to $250. And I was like, man, you're so caught up in the drama, you don't even know that you're crossing the lines. Like, the $250, that's how much the unheard costs. Like, you're just bringing random factoids into this conversation. He's like, he was paid $250. He said it so many times. He was paid $250 to promote this. And I was like, what? So that's a great way to put it, is that I have yet to meet any of the extremists on the other side. And so the people that are so bought into the death of the game, it just feels weird because it's like, yeah, man, it totally could. I hope it doesn't. You know what I mean? I'm going to be, it goes back to the same thing I said. Dude, this guy's going to be back on Tarkov in a week. It's like, yeah, I will. I don't know when we started measuring value in thousands of hours. You know what I mean? The impetus for all of this, the impetus of game's going to be dead in a year and man's going to be back on Tarkov in a few weeks, is that I can't get $35 of value in less than a year or less than a few weeks.
Well, yeah,
there are a few. You can beat Last of Us Part 1 in 20 hours.
Yeah, and even from that perspective, Tarkov paid for itself 1,000 times.
Yeah.
The value, I'm not mad about my money not being valuable, right? Like,
yeah,
it's like you get more playtime for every dollar you get, adjusted for inflation, than you did from like 95% of video games in history.
Yeah.
From all of these games that people get so mad and butthurt about. So I don't know. It's just weird. Because of therapy, simply don't give a fuck. I don't care what unreasonable people believe anymore.
Yeah.
I've stopped caring. And I've also stopped caring that those unreasonable people will misunderstand my not caring as indifferent, arrogant, shilling.
It's funny. Fine. It's fun and funny to break down the argument in this context. You know what I mean? Because, we think so similarly, and it's just funny. But yeah, for sure. It's been very fascinating. But I do think that, yeah, there's some sort of, shift has happened in gaming over these past few, I don't know, years, decade, whatever, to, it's just like $35 worth of value. You know what I mean? That, two people going to the movies and getting popcorn is $35. Me and my wife going to goddamn Chipotle is $35. I'm not saying in any way you should buy the game. I'm just saying, yeah, when we're talking about games going to be dead in a year, like, holy cow, $35 for entertainment for a year? That seems like a good deal. He's going to be back on Tarkov in 2 weeks. I've spent, so far, if you add the playtest and what I've spent well over 100 hours playing the game for $35. If I never played it again, I feel like I would have gotten my money's worth. out of it. You know what I mean? So I find it to be so interesting, the like core element of the argument, against it, I find to be fascinating. But yeah, I end back on that note. Like, my thought on the game right now is unchanged. It has absolutely convinced me that it has the potential to be a very, very strong, very fun game. It has convinced me it has the potential to be a game I could spend thousands of hours on, where The Cycle did not convince me of that, Marauders did not convince me of that, Dark and Darker did not convince me of that, and DMZ did not convince me of that. That doesn't mean they will access that potential, right? It has convinced me that it's got good legs and that it has everything it needs to be for as like an early access launch of like, oh my God. It has not convinced me that they're just 100% going to land the plane on that potential. So if you're super excited about the game and you think you can get $35 worth of enjoyment out of it, I would highly recommend it. Highly recommend Gray Zone Warfare in its current state. If you are in any way unsure,
stay away from it at all costs.
Don't buy it.
Stay out of my DMs.
Don't buy it. If you are in any way unsure, if you're not sure if the PvP is going to be fun, if you're not sure if your friends are unsure about it and you don't want to buy it if they're not going to play it, my recommendation is don't buy it. Just wait. They'll probably do a big patch, a big wipe. They said 4 to 6 months for wipes. They'll probably do a big patch. They've already talked about day-night cycle, thermals, NVGs. Maybe there's going to add more stuff. Like there's, especially because the game wipes, this isn't like an MMO where you're going to get behind, right? Because the game wipes, you always have that point to enter in and you're not behind, like I guess you're behind in knowledge of the map and stuff like that, but you're not behind in a way that you would be with an MMO where now I have to do this and this and this just to get back up to your level. So if you're in any way unsure, just wait, man. And there'll be updates and you can always revisit it. So that's kind of like my opinion on it. Yeah.
I want to say something real quick. I do think it's worth mentioning. It might just be me, but I feel like we, like gamers, like developers,
the royal
whatever, right,
we
need to do something about these are my 5 editions of the game. Like, I just cringe, dude. Like, I just like, not for any other reason than it's like, it's just always for the same reason that I hate when I go to sign up for like fucking Zoom and it's like, do you want the elite edition? Do you want the expert professional edition? Do you want the whatever? And it's like, you get 2 out of 4, 2 out of these 10 things. You get 4 out of these fucking 10 things. You get 6. I just feel like I just want someone to do something different, because even if it's just tonally, I cringed when everybody was talking about all the different, like the Unheard edition, right? And then like 2 days later, they're like, they just announced the pricing, and I'm like, oh God, like it's like the same kind of menu. I'm not saying it's the same thing. Yeah. I'm not saying, but it's just like, I just want someone to do something different. It's fine if you have multiple things for different prices.
Yeah.
I just want it to be something other than like, here's your currency, here's your
I completely agree. I said the same thing, by the way. Like I said the same thing. I don't like this trend on bigger stash, more money, more trader stuff, bigger, that kind of stuff. I think that most of the community, it's hard. I definitely don't know how it would affect sales. I understand that for these type of games, those are really good motivators for sales. We've talked before in the past how I think Tarkov has by a huge margin, a higher percentage of people that owned the deluxe edition of the game versus other games, because there's a huge motivator there. But I definitely agree. I would have loved the tiers to just be cosmetics, a few, skins for guns, extra clothes. I don't know. And maybe stash space or something. But
I'm just like,
I agree with you is what I'm trying to say.
I'm cringing for the next game that I want to buy and play because I know I'm gonna buy whatever the fucking top level edition is. I mean, unless it's Star Citizen and they want to charge me like 20 grand or something, right? Like, if it's be $100 or $200 and it's a game I really want to play, I'm gonna get the fucking Ultimate Edition, and I'm gonna have to hear everybody bitching about if it's pay to win or not, and I'm gonna have to hear about everybody bitching about that they couldn't afford the thing. It's like, oh God, can we just? I don't know how to do it. Like, everything is a Kickstarter now. And it's all the same, like border, like the same fucking copy pasta kind of template where it's like there's 4 columns and there's the bullet points, and it's like there might not be a better way to do it. And I don't feel that. Yeah, I don't feel like that really strongly. No, yeah, it's just like I like ice cream, and you know when you show up to a place and you're like, oh, I wish they had something other than vanilla and chocolate. Like I'm gonna eat the vanilla and I'm gonna be happy, but there's got to be something different, please.
Yeah. I think it definitely, it is a byproduct of this type of game, right? Like the Tarkov game, the extraction shooter, you know, some of these elements that have just naturally over the course of the past however long have amalgamated into what we have now. Stash space, secure container, these types of gaming things are so easily monetizable. You know what I mean? And in games like this, so important. Having a bigger stash space is huge. Having a bigger secure container is huge. Having, you know, more money at the start is huge. And so it is a byproduct of this type of game being made, whether it's Gray Zone or Marauders or The Cycle or Tarkov. It is so monetizable and so motivating for people. And so it is everywhere, and it's unfortunate. And I don't know, is what it is. But, dude, the amount of times I have been asked, this or Tarkov, what do you like better? Dude, just truly unreal. Once again, I think it just speaks to the psychology of, I don't know, gaming in general right now. And I feel like everybody kind of has a game, like a game that's a job that that your friend, like, it's hard to get friends playing a game and this and that, and if it's online or if it's co-op or if this, that. So I feel like everybody has their lane, whether it's Rainbow Six Siege, League of Legends, Tarkov, Rust. Everybody has like the game the homies play. And playing any other game is now looked through the lens of your main game or this game. Like, I think a lot of people, we've been making the meme a lot that the amount of real human beings with eyeballs that typed the message, this is a literal Tarkov clone, and chose to hit enter when I'm in a helicopter blaring Fortunate Son flying over an open world map. Like, that is mind blowing. But separate from that, I actually think a lot of the people that type what's better, this or Tarkov, aren't even necessarily comparing it to Tarkov. I think it goes back to we can only have one game. So any game is a threat to the main game. So the main game or this game, is this the new main game? You know what I mean? I feel like that is how a lot of people think. And
they're just fucking weirdos.
It's so weird because it's like this or Tarkov. Yes is the answer to the question. You know, I am going to be back on Tarkov very soon, maybe even tomorrow. But I'll be back on this game when they patch it and add additions. And I'll play Star Citizen when this patch comes out. And I'll check out Arena Breakout when the beta happens. And then I'll be back on Tarkov. And then I'll play Star Citizen's new patch. And then I'll play. It's like, the answer is just yes. Like, yeah, man, play all the games you want to play. All of them.
You know what I will shill for? The Patreon.
Star Citizen.
I got my money's worth out of that, and all I did is crawl around on my hands and knees and use FOIP for about 2 hours. No, the podcast Patreon. If anybody wants to hear me ranting about people on the internet and how there's like 2 categories of people, and how like I talked a lot about, like, it seems like there's kind of 2 categories of people. There's like normal humans and like bots, and I don't mean like scripted bots. I mean like people that act like bots. Like the kids call them NPCs. I don't know, but like it's the same thing. We talk a little bit about this on that episode. One of the more recent episodes, and it's just like, I don't know, dude. It's this weird thing that people, they don't recognize.
Yeah.
It's the way I described it was, it's like in the same way that you sit down, you put on your VR headset and you like go into the drift and you play the game and you kill the monsters and you do all this stuff, and then it's like, and then you disconnect from the world.
Yeah.
It's like they do that, but they're not interacting with monsters in Halo and the fucking blowing the heads off the Zergs. They're interacting with humans, but they forget that they're interacting with humans, and they don't know how to act. And I don't know. I don't know if it's just antisocial Zoomers who never had, like, they never played Pop Warner football. You know,
what a deep cut.
They didn't grow up playing Pop Warner football. They grew up on TikTok or whatever. Or if these people are actually like 42-year-old antisocial conspiracy theorists, wackos, you know, who are, I don't know. But it's just like, there are people that recognize we're all just doing our best. We're all just humans on the internet. Let's not take this so fucking seriously. And then there's people who like want to ruin people's days and want to cause drama and problems and whatever. And it's like, I don't know, man. Like, take the VR goggles off because you're looking at through the real world.
Yeah.
Now Apple has those VR goggles where you just see they're like augmented reality where you see through. That's how people. Fuck. Oh God. Now it's
only getting worse.
Home.
Yep.
Don't take the VR goggles off. You need the kick into the fucking bathtub. Everybody on the internet needs the little top, the little dreidel thing to know if what layer
what
they're
were
in.
They called totems or something? Yeah.
That's what they need.
Yeah.
Everybody needs one of those, because I think some people who would be like chatting on the internet, if they were like spin it and they'd be like, oh shit.
Yeah.
This is the real. They go, oh God. Oh shit.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't know, man.
Yep. I feel you, man. Well, that is the stuff for this week. You know, there's a lot of attention in weird places now because there's a lot of vitriol and hate going around, and you know, and it's all complicated. There's a lot of hate for BSG. There's a lot of justifiable frustration and hate for BSG. There's a lot of weirdness with like other games, and they're like the conspiracy theories come out. They're just trying to capitalize on this, and these people are doing that, and they're poor and their financial records and this, that, and the energy has been weird. But yeah, man, I'd say just to end it off, it's just like, remember, I mean, if you're made it this far in the episode, you probably are a normal human and you don't need to hear this, but I'm going to say it anyway. Remember that you're just like in control of your life. You know, if you're bored, go do something that makes you less bored. If you don't want to spend your money on something, don't. If you don't like something, go do something you like. You're in control. You know what I mean? And I don't care if you buy the game or not, if you think the game sucks or not, if you think my stream sucks or not. Just like, you spend the time in your life doing things that make you happy.
Agreed. I hit the button.
I don't have a.
My finger twitched and I hit the button.
I don't have a button. I don't have a picture.
The timing was accidental. I literally had a finger spasm, and now I'm just sticking a landing.
Damn. All right. Well, thank you guys for hanging. As always, we appreciate you guys. Go check out the Patreon, patreon.com/thepogcastpod. It will be linked below. Cool conversations we have over there all the time. We don't know what we're talking about at all. Don't take our opinions as fact. Live your own life. Thank you guys for hanging. We'll definitely see y'all on the next one.
Peace.